Hello everyone, Happy New Year to you, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Thank you too for the leadership each of you carries at Grace International School. The purpose of this short video is to explain a development in the Board of Trustees thinking regarding the GIS Vision, mission, and values, and how we believe they are best handled going forward within the policy governance framework which the board uses. Policy governance is the model, and many of you would already know this, but it's the model developed by John Carver where the board focuses on ends, and I'll explain that in a minute, while means are entrusted to the superintendent and to management and staff within some clear boundaries. The ends are the big long-term vision and goals of the school, and the means are how we get there. During the board's work this year, we are carrying out a review of the core identity statements of GIS. That's to say our vision, our mission, our values, our statement of faith, our commitment statements. And as part of this work, we've asked kind of a fundamental question. Who is best positioned to shape and communicate the vision and mission of GIS so that they actually inspire and guide and align the school and the community to our purposes? In the recent past, the board owned and controlled those vision, mission, and value statements. I'll refer to these as the VMVs, vision, mission, values, the VMVs. But some of you who've been around for more than 5 years might recall that going back further in our history, management was very involved in writing the VMVs. In fact, there was a point in 2019, 2020, when there was quite some debate and discussion around the very issue of the VMVs. And it made sense at that stage in GIS's development to confirm that the BOT would own the VMVs, as the board at that time felt that provided stability and protected identity following a season of transition that the school had been in. However, as we have reflected over the last while, I would guess it's been a year or two, and we've received some feedback from management as well during that time. We've also recognized something important. The VMVs written by the board in 2019, while organizationally sound, have not been especially usable as everyday leadership tools. They're not easily memorable, they're not particularly flexible, or maybe even all that flexible for strategic planning, or recruitment, or marketing, or daily decision-making. They've had some limitations. And yet, despite those limitations, management has faithfully protected and promoted them. And for that, the board is genuinely very grateful. As we have engaged more deeply with some policy governance theory during the review that we're in, one insight has become increasingly clear. In the policy governance framework, the board's primary role is to define the ends. And so let me define that now. The ends are who the school exists for, what difference it exists to make, and at what cost or priority. And that kind of sets the trajectory of the school long term. All the ways the school achieves those ends are called means in policy governance, and those are entrusted to management within some clear boundaries set by the board. In John Carver's writings, he notes that traditional mission statements, which organizations use, are really staff tools used for communication, inspiration, and alignment. They're not part of the governance control structure. In his words, if staff choose to publish a mission statement for internal or external use, that is a staff means decision. The management can go ahead and do that. And that insight brought some clarity for us as we've been reading and thinking. It's helped us to see that the GIS VMVs are closer to means than they are to ends. So as a result, the board is proposing a clear and intentional shift. We see the VMVs as a staff means that sit squarely within the superintendent's domain, practical tools that can be used by management. So the implication for Steve and for management is that management going forward would research, draft, refine, and use the VMVs in ways that help lead the school. The board would no longer treat VMVs as something it owns in the same way as it owns the ends. Instead, the board would govern the use of the VMVs through executive limitations as policy governance intends. Executive limitations, just to make that bit clear, are parameters within which management is given full freedom to operate under the board's leadership. So those executive limitations would ensure that any VMVs that are written remain fully aligned with the board's ends, that they are consistent with the statement of faith and with the commitment statements, that they are not changed casually, and that they are developed through appropriate consultation with key stakeholders. So the board would govern this like any other means, through reasonable interpretation and regular monitoring, but not through authorship or micromanagement. So how I see this, how the board sees this, is not the board stepping back or kind of neglecting the VMVs. Rather, it's the board stepping back in trust and saying, we want to clarify this and actually give some proper role distinction to something that is really important. For the school-wide leadership and the admin teams, our hope is that this change would be really helpful for you. We want you to have VMVs that are usable in real leadership conversations, that support strategic planning and staff formation, and that communicate clearly to families or allow you to communicate more clearly to families and donors and partners, and also that help you lead confidently without second-guessing governance boundaries. So in short, VMVs that would serve you rather than constrain you. So this video is part of our desire to communicate early and communicate as clearly as we can and relationally as well, not just an email. And additionally, we're inviting the admin team to come to meet with us when we have the board meetings later at the end of January, to have an opportunity to discuss and process these proposed changes. I'm also happy to come to a future SWLT meeting to answer any questions you might have. Your insights, your thoughts, your feedback are really, really important for us. We believe this shift empowers leadership and honors the board's oversight role, but at the same time strengthens GIS for the future. Let me finish by saying thank you for your service. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your partnership in stewarding this school well under God. May He lead us forward in His purpose. God bless you all.